Hello, welcome to Win Some Lose More. My name is Dieter, and I'm joined again by my brother Rick. Last year we did the Too Loose top 100 games of all time as of 2020. It's now 2021. Now it's been a year. I think everybody can say it's been a year, and so
Yeah, anyone can say that of any year, but there you go.
I know, but in the
Yeah,
satirical, it's not satire, but whatever tone I was using,
yes,
it's
been
been
a year.
quite a year.
Mm.
And so we were discussing, you wanted to do it again. I was very keen to, but we've pared it down a little bit. We're going to do the top 50. Now, this is partly because it's not been a big year for adding new games to the list, I think.
No, but you say that, but I was looking through it and I put them all in, and in my 100, I think does it go down as far as 100? Maybe just over. Yeah, just over 100. I've had 20 new games added to the list.
And to be fair,
which was more.
In my top
Yeah.
50, I do have 7. So
yeah, I think I've got about 10. So,
sure. So it's not a terrible year. It just hasn't felt like the same level of gaming experience that we've had before. So to stop it just feeling like, oh, here's the same 80 games, let's say, 20 apiece maybe. Pared it down to 50, corrected these 10 at a time as we did before. Now, I think we've both taken a slightly different approach to how we've constructed the list. And I was kind of inspired by you. So do you want to just say?
We were both keen to not just take last year's list and sort of tweak it, because you'll just end up with the same one again. And it's all very subjective. So I just put all of mine in alphabetical order, every game I think I've ever played that I can remember, and then just put the first one, it was probably among the stars in the list, and then sort of worked my way. It was probably Seven Wonders something or other, and then just added stuff according to where I thought it should go, and then had a little look at it after that. But yeah, what about you?
Okay, so having heard that from you before, I had forgotten half of it, it seems. So I keep a constant list that we're talking about, tweak it as we go. Every time I play something new, see where it fits, add it in, but then it gets a bit stale. So I did the first step that you did. I exported my whole list into a spreadsheet, ordered it alphabetically, but then instead of having a clear starting point, I just started cutting everything that I just couldn't imagine being top 50. Left myself with about 75 games, went through again, cut it down, had about 60 in the end, and then started ordering as best as I could, some referencing my existing list a little bit, not referencing last year's list. But I don't know if you have. I certainly have. I've got last year's numbers on here as well. If it was,
actually had to watch the old videos.
Yes. Oh, okay, sure. No, I had saved that one. So this is 50 through 41, this first video. And even though in the scheme of board gaming hobby, we've played less than some of the people that have played hundreds and hundreds and thousands of games, we've played more than your casual person who's played tens of games. You're well over 100 into 200. I'm 200-300 maybe. And so these are great games. These are all great games. I actually found this much harder than I thought I would.
Much harder.
Some have been cut, some are back in, just through thinking about it a lot more. My biggest shift is my number 50, with 39 places different to last year.
Wow.
Massive shift. My top 10 is I think half of them weren't even there before. It's all.
I only have one. What your number 11 was.
Oh no, it's come up 39 places.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. I only have one in the whole 50 that is the same number as it was last year.
I don't know if I have any. We'll find out.
Sure. So number 50 game of all time as of 2021. What have you got?
Okay, so this is where my system automatically failed, because I probably should have done what you did and gone, oh, what are the games that feel like a top 50, rather than just blindly sticking stuff in and then trying to mod it afterwards. Because this game didn't make the 50. I looked at it and went, how has this not made it? And so I had to then go, okay, what do I think? And I don't want to just put it in just because it's going to. But no, after a little bit of playing around, I go, no, I think that was just a bit that was exaggerated for where that should have been, and blah blah blah. Tapestry.
Oh.
Nearly didn't make the list. Nearly didn't make the list. Tapestry is nominally a civilization game. You explore, you develop, you create new technologies, you explore science, you go on war, sort of, against no one. Yeah, so sort of a 4X in the least way, but it's made by Stone Meyer. It's very much in their ilk. Like, you have 4 actions, they're quite simple to do, but the exponential possibilities of them open up quite a lot. I remember I talked about this last year and I said it actually dropped once I played the expansion. I've since traded that expansion for a game that might turn up in this list, yes, and among some other things, because I kind of not that excited about playing it anymore. As in, it's in the top 50. I'll always play it. It's beautifully, I haven't said that, beautifully made.
Yeah. Plays
really well, can teach people. The theme comes through. Yeah. But last year I talked about some of the matrices of how you pick stuff is like, good design, both aesthetically and mechanically. How often does it hit the table? Increasingly, like you said, because it's only 50, and again, to your average punter, that's a lot of games, but because it's only 50, a lot of this came down to how much do I really, really want to play this game right now?
Sure.
And that's very subjective. It's a subjective list, and Tapestry for me doesn't quite feel urgent. Like I would play that right now. I'd look at some of the others and go, yeah, I'd much rather play that right now. Sure. All that said, great game. Really, really like it. Superbly put together. And I'd quite like to try the new expansion, but I'm not, raring to go for it.
I will definitely talk about this another time. I have so much to say.
Sure you will.
Now, for very different reasons, my number 50 is also a bit of a cheat. So it's up 39 places. When I had my 60 games that I was left with, I wrote number 50 next to this before doing any of the other numbers, because I knew for me, this not that this was the threshold, but I wanted this in the list because it just fits lots of things. And as it turned out, as I went through, it kind of sat there anyway. My number 50 is Just One.
Okay. Yeah.
This was 89 last year. And I've played it a little bit more over the January lockdown that happened. I moved in with my parents again, our parents for a bit, for a month or so. And just these kinds of games were played. And in the state that we're in the world, this is just one of those games. I've since gifted it then to our sister-in-law and other people, and be like, this is just a great tool. This is a great access point. It's just a fun thing to do, which is what games are supposed to be. And it just works really well, and it's always super cheap, and I'm always just so impressed with the design. Everybody, you're working together. One person can't see a word, everybody else can, and they secretly write something down, show it to each other except the one person. If any of the things they've written down match, they're discarded. The person now gets to see what everyone's written that's left, and they have to guess what the initial word was. That's it. That's the whole game. Yeah. Nobody scores it. Nobody cares. It's just a fun thing to do. You're supposed to get like 13 right or something before 5 wrong or some nonsense, but it's just fun. It's just a fun thing to do together. Yeah. So my number 50 is Just One.
And it belongs in a top 50 list.
Doesn't it though?
Yeah, that's the thing. And I forgot to say on Tapestry as well, it feels like it's dropped. Last time for me it was 39. Now, when you consider I've got about 10 games, new games in the top 50, actually it's basically the same.
Yeah.
It's just I've got other stuff as well. So it's maybe not that dramatic.
It's been diluted to this point rather than dropped.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Now, you said just now you had one that was exactly the same number. I was like, I wonder if I've got any. Turns out number 49. Straight away I have. For having ripped it all out and put it back together, Forbidden's Desert and Island are number 49. This is a pair of co-op games. One's slightly easier than the other, but they're family weight cooperative games by Matt Leacock, who designed Pandemic. You're either in an island that's sinking because there's too much water and you have to sandbag it and stay afloat or fly away, or you're in a desert and the sand is your enemy because it's piling up and you get buried alive. A bit like Dune, I guess, if you've seen that film. But I've just finished the book. We'll talk about that another time, not on this channel. But they're both great. They're both solid. I won't talk too much about it. But if you've got family age kids and you don't think, well, they're quite ready for pandemic, but you want to try something cooperative, Gamewright did an exceptional job putting this stuff together. The plastic, the cardboard, the tin that they come in, it's all great stuff. I'm really looking forward to the time when my eldest is of an age where I can get Forbidden Island again and go, because I don't have it at the moment, but I'd love to play this with her because it's just lots of fun. 49.
Yeah, so compared to last year to this, I've done more of what we discussed last time, and I have grouped whole things together.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, particularly those two Forbiddens are so similar. Yes, Island is a bit lighter and desert rather, but they're so similar to stick them together. So my 49, I struggled with whether it came on or off. It was teetering around the edge, as a few of these ones did. My first Stonemaier game, Fanboy Don't Care, is Charterstone.
Okay.
So this is a legacy worker placement game. So you play with preferably the same group of people over 12 games, 8 games. Don't remember.
We didn't get to the end.
Sure. We did, and you get stickers and build up the board and the places that you send your workers to. The reason it's on here for me, partly what you're saying with Tapestry, the production value is great. Stickers, those stickered cards, they had to invent the technology for, because they just hadn't been done, so they're just really cool.
Wow.
The metal coins, like I've since gutted the game for its pieces because I'm done with it. It was a I say single use. I got 12 plays out of it, and you got 6 or 7 plays out of it. Like it's had a good life as far as hobby games go. So I've gutted it out, kept a lot of the things, the metal coins, big chunky pieces, and the mechanism that really I love is the worker bumping, and specifically the grande versus the normal worker. So if you've been to a space, normally in a worker placement, that's it. No one else can go there until the end of the round where we pull back. That doesn't really happen. You can choose to pull everything back, but if you've put your little worker there, I can put my big worker there. So I can still use that space, but I have to use a more important figure, but then you get your piece back to go somewhere else. So I'm extending your turn. So actually, I'm not hurting you by doing it. It's a semi-positive interaction, which is just a lovely touch to it. The look's cool. The narrative pretends to exist. It doesn't. But it always just kind of teeters around this point for me. It was 47 last year, so essentially the same thing. Charterstone 49.
81 for me in the new list.
Yeah.
Again, we didn't finish it. Didn't really get carried away with it like we have with other legacy games. But I think probably its strength and weakness was opening crates, because every time felt like Christmas, something new inside this crate, which is fun. I've kind of forgotten what I'm doing in the game, but let's get a new crate. And that it didn't quite carry it through for me. But it's good. 81. It's not a problem. It's good. Number 48, a climber for me. From 58 to 48, 10 places. And that again is because actually I think I'm starting to get to the stage where I can play it properly with my eldest child, and this is Rhino Hero, which is a folding card stacking game with a rhino hero who you have to balance on stuff. It's a small box. You can take it to the coffee shop. She and I do that. You know, she'll have a little baby chino. I'll have a coffee, and we'll just play that 2 or 3 rounds. And it's got this kind of Uno mechanic in like who's trying to get rid of their cards, but it's not Uno because you've also got to balance those cards. And before it was just a balancing game, and it was fun. But now it's a balancing game with a little bit of strategy and a little bit of player interaction. And I'm appreciating it more as she is. So I don't have loads of kids games on here, but I enjoy the game more than I did. So up from 58, 48, Rhino Hero.
I've just noticed something awful on my list. Just while I bend and grab some water, I have 3 Stonemaier games in a row.
Such a dork.
Yep. So guess. 48. What's it going to be? This has dropped. No. This has dropped 15 places.
Oh, between
Two Castles of Madkin Ludwig. Again, amazing production, incredible concept. I love the idea. But when have I sat and played a 5 or 7 player game in the last year? I just haven't. And so I bought the expansion and I tried that, and it works. It adds a solid solo mode, 2 solo modes, but one that suits my play style much more. It goes against the core idea of the game, in which you're sharing things with other people. Normally you're drafting tiles, and I would be working with Rick and working with Mark, whilst Mark is working with Rick. And so there are castles that we share. You're between 2 castles. And your lowest one scores, always a cool mechanic. In the solo, you can either do that and you're kind of automating several hands, and I just don't, it's too much for me to handle. It's got another version where it's just, I'm building a castle, you're building a castle, and they draft in a particular way, and we see how it goes. And it's just a cool, they added a couple of other room types that score in different ways. So it's just an interesting bump, but it's just not one I've been able to play much. It's just affected where it's sat. Still top 50, still a great game, lovely production, and relatively cheap now. Between 2 castles of Mankin and Ludwig, 48.
I attempted to buy it the other day, but again, same issue. I think number 70 for me. So good game.
Still good.
Okay, my number 47 is new to the list, but not a new game. In fact, I had to look it up the other day. It came out in 1978, and I'd basically totally forgotten about it until it popped up on BGG for me. And I was like, oh man, I love Cathedral. Cathedral is an abstract strategy game. You play in the walls of a city, and it's sort of, was it 8 by 8, 10 by 10 sort of squares. And you have a number of either white or black, like chess piece colors of buildings, and they are polyominoes. Some are 1s, some are 5s. There's a cathedral itself, which is 7, I think, 6 or 7, and you're trying to get rid of all of your things. But if you manage to enclose a whole area in yours, you don't fill it, but you make a boundary. Only you are allowed to put stuff in there. But someone might beat you to the punch and put one in there. But if they've only got 1 left in there, then you can remove it, including the cathedral, which is a neutral one at the beginning. I'm probably making a hash of this, but I know you've played this because our dad
I hadn't even considered this. This isn't even on my list. I just thought this was a puzzle that you put together.
I know.
I was too young.
I just saw it on BGG, like I said the other day, and I'm like, that's a great game. I don't love abstract strategy, but I really like that. It's probably still in their cupboard. And so, like I say, it made the list because it's one that I'm like, I actually kind of want to play that again. I'm looking forward to going down to Cornwall again. I haven't done that in ages now. I'm looking forward to going down and giving that a bosh because it's a good little game. Cathedral 47.
I now desperately want to play it because your description of it is so many of the kind of modern games that I've played and go, this is exactly what I like doing. Wow. Wow. As soon as you said cathedral, it's like, he can't mean that. I didn't even know there were rules.
And there's like I don't know if it is Milton Bradbury, but that sort of look of things, the 1978 plastic ones and that kind of thing. Then my parents have got a nice wooden set, which
lovely, chunky,
I think makes a big difference to your aesthetic appreciation of the game. But I'm sure I wouldn't enjoy if it was just a bit of plastic. But there you go, 47.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Good. My 47 is what you thought my 48 was. It's Wingspan. This is up 6 places. It's now in the top 50.
Great.
As of, and this will be the opposite to another game in this 10, since getting the digital version.
Okay.
Now, if you watched these videos last year and heard me talk about Wingspan, I was quite negative. It's a lovely game, beautiful charm. I get why people love it. It just didn't sing for me. The slightest of puns intended. You're welcome.
Didn't fly.
Too obvious. I've softened. I really have, because playing it, I've got a little Switch and you just sit there and it's just something to do. It makes me want to play the physical game, which I think is what a digital one should do. It fills the gap, but should still make me want to play the game. And it's just lovely. And I care less about the randomness now. And I just want to be experiencing it again. So for whatever reason, Wingspan creeping back up, we'll see. if I get to play it much more. But 47, Wingspan, another Stonemaier game.
Great. Number 46 drops 20 places.
Ooh.
Yeah. Pandemic Legacy Season 2.
Okay.
Pandemic, same designer as the Forbidden games I mentioned earlier. Legacy worked with Matt Leacock and Rob Davio worked together to make a Legacy game. The first one I absolutely adored, and you will see it later in the list. Spoiler alert. The second one I really enjoyed, but it got a little convoluted. It sort of strayed away from the early mechanics and that kind of thing. I toyed with actually not even making the list when I was trying to go, oh my goodness, Tapestry really should be here. Do I really want Pandemic there? I said, I think yes, but with a caveat of that, because I played number 1, there are some story arc stuff that when I got to in number 2, I just honestly, it's like someone had stabbed me in the heart, and I reeled about it for days. I was like, I can't even say it. It was just as a huge twist, and I loved it for that. I don't remember so much about the game, but I remember the experience of having played 1 and then having played 2. So it's still got a place on the list, but it very much pales compared to the first one. 46, Pandemic Legacy Season 2.
Nice. 46 for me. Down 9 places, but again, that's just the filtering, the diluting thing. Bang the Dice game still just hold. I don't even own it anymore, but it just holds a good place for me. It's just one of those. I know it's not your type.
I'm trying to find it. I'm scrolling
I doubt
down.
it's even in your 100.
I don't think it is. Keep talking.
It's just silly fun with an element of social. 136. I'll take that, to be honest, because it's just not your style. You're either the sheriff or the deputy or an outlaw or a renegade, and you have different win conditions if you care. Mostly it's just you roll in dice, Yahtzee style, roll, keep some, roll the others, keep as many as you like until you've either busted by getting 3 dynamite, in which you lose a life, or you settle on what you got and you use it to either shoot people or gain health with beer, because why not? Or gamble for that 3 of a kind of the Gatling gun and shoot everybody, and you're just trying to eliminate the people that are specifically against you, and we only know who the sheriff is, so everybody's kind of pushing it a little bit, lying to each other, as our other brother Mark does a good amount. He's very good at this game. It's just silly fun for me, and everybody's got their own unique power, which just stops it being that mundane werewolfy type thing where some people have got something interesting to do. Suddenly, oh, you think you can shoot me? Okay, actually, I'm going to do this thing to negate that. And it's everybody knows that it's not take that. There's no meanness about it. It's just silly fun for me. And again, inexpensive, plays a good range of player counts. Bang the Dice game, good fun.
Great. Well, my 45 is almost a crossover with your last one. Bang the Dice game was never going to make it for me because I don't like social deduction. I don't mind Yahtzee mechanic being put into a silly fun game, and this is why King of Tokyo makes my number 45. Similar sort of thing, roll a few dice. Unfortunately, you don't have the sort of asymmetric powers, but that's okay. You can get the power up expansion. I never have, because I feel like it would, I mean, partly because I never just got around to buying it, but I also feel like it would detract from the simpleness of that game. You know, literally anyone can pick it up. What you do? You roll some dice. Okay, which ones do you want to keep of those? Well, those. Right, roll them again. Okay. Well, now I want these. Great. And now you've attacked me, or you've run away, or you've scored points. Easy peasy. And really, really fun. And yeah, I could just play it with anyone. I just absolutely love it, and plays up to 6 players, and is over pretty quickly, which is good because player elimination, not normally my jam. But yeah, really like King of Tokyo for a lot of the same reasons that you like Bang the Dice game, but just doesn't have any of the social deduction stuff that I don't really care for. So 45.
Yeah, good fun. Not sure where it sits for me. I think just outside the 100, but I've only played it once, so it's an unfair thing. My 45 is Tiny Towns, which I still don't think you've played, and I still don't know that you'd want to.
Not especially.
Because it's a spatial puzzle, which despite Cathedral
is not normally.
Is comes up in a lot of my style games much more than your style games, and it's a very pure version, and it's got like a bingo mechanic. We take it in turns to call a color resource. Everybody has to take one and put it somewhere on the grid, and then pre-existing cards are on the table for everybody, which tell you different patterns of colors create different types of buildings to populate your tiny town. And when you've done that, you take the cubes off the board and you put that building somewhere where the cubes came from on your board. And so there are fewer places to put cubes, and so it gets tighter and trickier and figuring it out, and all these buildings score in different ways relative to one another. It's just a puzzle. That's all it is. But you're going around, and I've just had good success with people, even those I wouldn't suspect liking it, getting to the end of the first game and going, oh, I see where I went wrong. Can we try it again? So it just works for me. Tiny Towns 45.
And we'll come back to some of that bingo mechanic stuff in just a round or two.
Okay.
Because number 44 is not like that at all. It's Diplomacy, which I think you were shocked to see on my list last year. This is the game that really needs 7 people and an entire day to play. The pre-First World War, someone's playing Britain, France, Germany, the Ottoman Empire, the Italians and Russians, I think. And, everyone's saber rattling and everyone's, colluding with one another. And again, if you ask that question of, do I want to play this? Like, it's Christmas, it's New Year coming up, and could this be something I could see on the table and spending an evening playing at New Year's Eve? We're not going to, we've got quite the right crowd this year. Yes, absolutely. And I've only played it once and I got destroyed as Italy. And yeah, I think it's an old game again, but it's an absolute work of genius. And I would love to play this tomorrow if the opportunity was there for me. So number 44, Diplomacy.
Cool. My number 44 is almost kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, I think. To arguably the most accessible modern game classic that's come out in a long time. I have now grouped them all together, both big and small. This is Ticket to Ride. So New York, or the small ones, I had separated out from the main ones, and the small ones were higher at 46. They're now 44 altogether, just because I played it a bit more. I played Italy and Japan the other day, and I've taught a couple of people in New York and some of the smaller ones, and it's just easy breezy fun. It just works, and it's just better than you think it is. You can get all snobby as you like about it, and I've done that. And then you sit down and play and go, oh, you took my route. Like, you get involved and it matters, and it's just a simple well collecting colors,
well produced, and you're aesthetically drawn to it, and just works.
It's colorful, it's easy to teach, easy to play, but good fun. Ticket to Ride, kind of take your pick. Absolutely.
My number 43, coming back to the mechanic of bingo that you were talking about just before. This is a new one on the list. This is On Tour.
Oh.
Which is a roll and write, and I don't really like those. But it is a bingo one, like you're saying. You are a band manager of a band that's going on tour. And I have the second edition, so either the US or Europe. And it's very interesting in that you can play up to 8 players, because it's got 8 things on the board, but actually you can play it an infinite amount because someone's rolling a dice and you are filling in a space. It actually works best at about 2 players. Slightly odd, but but you have to draw where you think from 2 numbers that roll in their D10, so it's a 0 to 9 dice, and 2 numbers will turn up, so it's a 3 and a 9. You have to fill in a 39 and a 93 anywhere on the board. And then at the end of the game, you need to link as much of your route together as you possibly can. And you can only go to a place that is in the next state or country, depending on which map you're playing, and that is an equal to or higher number than the last one. So 8, or 19. Oh, I've missed all of those ones because that's 39. That doesn't help me. And again, a bit like Tiny Towns, like you're saying, you get to the end of it and go, oh, I need to play that again because I did very badly, but I quite enjoyed it. So yeah, maybe I'll give it another go. It's a new one for me. It'll be interesting to see how long it sticks around in this sort of top 50 zone. But at the moment, I'm really enjoying it. And since the pandemic has been easing, I have been sort of recalibrating my collection away from sort of mostly 2-player and quite dense to maybe 8-player and quite easy to play, and this one falls into that box. But yeah, enjoying it a lot, and again, production quality really good. Board game tables who make board game tables, and then just knock out a few really nice dry white marker games, and you're like, well, okay, maybe change your business model because these are really good. But number 43 on tour.
My number 43 is up 9 places, okay. But just there's a lot of digital play going on for it. This is Lords of Waterdeep. It was one of the first worker placements I played. Yes, visually, thematically, not the prettiest thing in the world, but good enough. It really is good enough, and just solid core mechanics. It does have that once somebody goes somewhere, you can't go there until the end of a round, and we take all of our pieces back. But as you go through the game, you get more workers, and the good kind of the thing that differentiates it, that I know we talk about, that parapet thing that just nudges it above, makes it interesting, is that you can buy buildings that you own. So then when somebody goes there, you gain a benefit from them using your thing, and they want to go there because that building affects that location is better than the base ones that exist. That might be like, just gain a cube. Now you get to gain 2 of this and 1 of this, which allow you to fulfill the orders that you're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be different types of heroes that you're sending on a mission, but it's just different color cubes to fulfill a contract thing. But again, seems to be the theme of this list. It just works. It's just fun. It's just simple. Gets people into it. Yes, if you're if you're particularly aesthetically driven, not going to be so much for you. But if you're less worried about aesthetics and theme, as some people, then it just works really well, and it can provide some really good fun.
And that just works theme is going to carry on certainly to my 41. But I also think it's interesting how we've both had sort of, we've got our spatial element game, we've got our bingo game, and we've got, those games that you're just like, I just quite like this one. I don't have many in that style, but I like that version of it. So it just drifts into the 50 because I want something of that ilk. Not that we've been as clever as that, but you do sometimes have that, don't you? Like, I want that kind of, I want to roll them right in there. I don't have any others, but that one's quite good. Anyway, 42, down 10 places. 9 places, but again, that's there or thereabouts. Bonanza. I know you hate it. I love it. And it is, for me, here the trading game that I don't have anywhere else on this list, or probably the rest of the thing, because trading games they're harder to get to the table, particularly with you around, because you're terrible at trading. But I always really like trading. I grew up Monopoly, and I've played Bonanza so many times. I've played it in 2-player, and it's not even a trading game of that thing, but they mod the rules. I like it. One day I'll play some proper big Uwe Rosenbergs. I never have played Caverna or Agricola. I'd like to, but for now, my favorite one of his is Bonanza, and I know it divides opinion, but I really like it. 42.
It doesn't divide opinion. It's just madness. My 42 is my deck builder for this bit. It's one I always love the idea of, and I love playing, but then I forget about. And that's kind of my problem. And I actually have, thanks to you, a new expansion coming for it in the next couple of days. This is Marvel Legendary, or Legendary, a Marvel deck building game, however. Marvel Legendary. And you can get loads of sets. If there's a character you can think of, it's there. You just need to get the set. Even the core heroes it comes with satisfy most people's tastes. I got the big box X-Men expansion. I'm about to get some more X-Men in the Dark City expansion, which I think was actually the first one, but never mind, I'm late to it. And you're just collecting moves of characters rather than owning a character. Multiple people could have an Iron Man card because I'm asking him to do this thing. We're more Directors of S.H.I.E.L.D. type people, and I'm getting him to do this thing, and we're coordinating this attack. And again, there's the normal deck builder, combo building stuff, but you're taking on a mastermind, and it just feels more, because of the theme, because it just engages you that little bit more to go, we're taking down Red Skull, we're taking down Bullseye, we're taking down Venom, whoever it might be, and we have to thwart this plan and save this bystander. It's not the most thematic Marvel game that exists, but it's thematic enough, mixed with good, simple deck building mechanisms.
Yeah.
It's just accessible and good fun, and ultimately infinitely expandable. As long as they keep making new characters, they'll keep making new cards, and it just works. It's good.
Sure. Yeah. Very good. I never played it. Quite like to give it a go, but yeah, seems like quite an investment for me that I just don't think would work out for us.
Sure.
But anyway, final one on this list, 41, and this has climbed 12 places. And I'm really pleased that I actually didn't do my list the way you did it, because if you said, is this a top 50 game, I'd have said no. Okay. But I just, as I threw stuff in, oh yeah, I quite like that one, probably a little bit more than that, a little bit less than that. And then we got to it and I was like, that's high, but it works. It just works. And it's by the same publisher as Ticket to Ride. And it's got that same level of charm, same level of production. It's Quadropolis. Just a lovely game.
Just fell out.
Sure. I don't have it in my collection anymore. I've not had it for a number of years. Quadropolis, you are building a city, a quadropolis, a city with 4 sides. Yeah, 4 sides. In the base game, there's also on the other side of the board an advanced system, which is really good as well. And you use architects who are numbered 1 to 4, and they get to point at the building you want. So there's a drafting thing going on. But I love teaching this game, or did love it when I had it, because I say, right, well, you get apartments, that gives you people, but you need power. Oh, where do I get power? You get factories. Okay, but you need people. Okay, fine. But I've got more people than I have factories. Yeah, that's right. Well, maybe send them to the shop, and it interlinks and it works really well, and it's nicely produced, and the insert's really good. It's just a lovely game, and I'm kind of now a bit like, why did we ever get rid of that? But shelf space is finite.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll pick it up another day, but it's a cute one, and it's a good one, and it works, and it's got, a beginner level and a hard level, and they both work, which is amazing. 41 Quadropolis.
It was in my 60. I think it landed at like 53. It just was like, I want to put it in.
Yeah.
It just didn't quite wrangle that way. It is very good.
It's very good.
It's very good. Okay, my number 41, I wasn't allowed to put on the list last year. I had played it, but only digitally.
Sure.
And have now played it physically, and is my racing game for this list. This is Downforce.
Downforce.
Very acted out there for you. Yeah,
I'm trying to guess. It's like charades in this.
No, no board. It just makes racing work, and it should be really dull. It should be boring. It's just Formula One type cars going around a track. Who cares? Who cares? But 2 mechanisms make it really interesting. The auction. I don't like auctions usually. It just kind of works. And you're more auctioning how much you want to spend to back a car, that it becomes yours, that you get to manipulate in a way that nobody else does. Cool. But how much you spend goes against how much you potentially win at the end. So that's just a really nice, almost push your luck element. I know auctions typically do have that, but it's not dry. It's silly, because each car comes with a special power that allows you to do something with it. Like if you land on a perfectly rectangular space, you get to move an additional space or something like that, or you get to activate your cards backwards, whatever it might be. So that's a really cool thing. But then the core mechanism I find fascinating. To move a car, you play a card which has more than one car on. Typically you have one card for each that only has that one, but multiple colors with different numbers, and you must move all of those cars that number top to bottom in that order. So you're choosing not who goes first and whatnot, but actually which order do I want to send them in, because actually it might block off my opponent's one, and then mine will move afterwards and free that up. And it just, for such a simple, like we played it with 9-year-old niece, that she just gets it, and she beat me. It's I sucked so bad at this in real life. I'm all right digitally, but my play of it in person was woeful for my result. But it's just a lot of fun. You can play it just as, I'm just going to play the cards and see what happens. Or if you want to think about it more, that option is there. And then you get to bet on who you think you're going to win at 3 different points, and it will change. And it just works. It's just good silly fun, but very well designed silly fun.
Yeah.
41. It's downforce. So that's, for us, quite fast.
I thought we did quite well.
We did quite well. That's the first 50 to 41. We'll be back soon with probably next week with the next 10, 40 to 31. In the meantime, do find me on social media. Just search Winsome Loose on the usual platforms. You'll find me. Do subscribe to this channel if you don't already, and hit the bell icon so you stay updated when I put out new things. I'm excited. We hope you are too. We'll see you again. I've been Dieter. He's been Rick. We'll see you again for the next 2 Loose Top 50. Oh, dear. Okay, bye.